Let's Gamespot.
Hello and welcome to the triumphant return of Let's Gamespot. What's it been, like 2 days, 3? Now either way, I'm your Sammy Jenkins-esque host, Jeff Gerstmann. The dust is still settling from the whirlwind we call E3, and later on in the show, Greg Kasavin will stop by to recap GameSpot's Best of Show awards. Before that, I'm going to fill you in on what games are hitting shelves this week, be they stealing sims or epic battles between apes and plumbers. Tim Tracy's all up on the news, Ridge Gallup is here to sift through over 1,300 E3 movies for now playing, and the trivia robot entertains a mysterious visitor from his past. We know you like soap opera drama almost as much as we like seeing it subtitled in Korean, here on Let's GameSpot. First up this week is Nintendo's Mario vs. Donkey Kong for the Game Boy Advance. Before you ask, yes, it's an update of an old game, but no, not that old school ladders and barrels business. Instead, Mario vs. Donkey Kong harkens back to the mystical year of 1994, when Donkey Kong was released on the original Game Boy. That 10-year-old merger of puzzle solving and classic 2D platforming now looks a lot better and has more depth. The story is simple. The latest toy taking the world by storm is the Mini Mario, and Donkey Kong wants one. When he finds that they're sold out, he flies into a rage, busts into the toy factory, and steals every last pint-sized plumber. It's up to you, as Mario, to rescue each toy, conveniently placed one per level in a multitude of worlds. Gameplay has a sort of Super Mario Bros. 2 logic to it that has you carrying keys, enemies, and other objects over your head while navigating obstacles, unlocking doors, and hitting switches. Each world consists of 8 levels. The 7th level has you navigating the Mini Marios to a toy box, and the 8th pits you against the Big Kong himself. If it sounds fun, that's because it is. Check out the GBA section of GameSpot for a full review. Also new this week is Ion Storm's Thief Deadly Shadows for the PC and Xbox. Yes, Master Thief Garrett is back for a 3rd chapter with a new development studio and the same graphics engine used in Deus Ex Invisible War. But in the words of Ion Storm's Warren Spector, Deus Ex is a Swiss Army knife and Thief is a scalpel. For you, the gamer, that sharp analogy means not so much multiple choice gameplay in a futuristic setting, but careful sneaking and stealing in set environments. Garrett's quest for wealth takes place in the medieval urban center called The City. No, not the Ticks, The City, but there's plenty of vermin to go around. 3 factions run the city: the Order of the Hammer, the Pagans, and the Keepers. These mysterious groups all come into play in the game's twisting story involving magic, deception, and of course yoinking lots and lots of shiny objects. You want more? Of course you do. Slink on over to the Thief Deadly Shadows game space. If you're looking for some classic yet updated 2D action, Atlas is releasing River City Ransom EX for the GBA, and SNK has got Metal Slug 3 for the Xbox. One of them removes slowdown familiar with its arcade predecessor, and the other now lets you pick up objects with your mind. That can't be right. Tim, can you make any sense out of this?
Thanks, Jeff. Earlier this week, a single-player demo for VU Games' strategy game Ground Control 2 debuted on GameSpot DLX. Developed by Massive Entertainment, the single-player demo will let players sample Ground Control 2's tactical gameplay via 2 tutorial missions and 1 campaign mission as the Northern Star Alliance. Ground Control 2 Operation Exodus will arrive in stores on June 22nd. Blizzard announced that it is readying a series of in-game auction houses for World of Warcraft. Located in each major city, the houses will let players buy items from members of the same faction. However, the auction house located at Booty Bay will allow exchanges between members of opposite factions. For details on the auction houses and more, visit www.worldofwarcraft.com. And now back with Rumor Control, it's Tor Thorson.
Thanks, Tim. The big rumor following the E3 frenzy will likely go down as one of the biggest of the year, namely that Electronic Arts was close to signing a deal for exclusive likeness rights for the entire NFL Players Association. According to the highly respected Sports Business Journal, EA would pay Players Inc., the NFLPA's licensing company, $250 million a year for 4 years for the likeness rights, a literal billion-dollar deal. Such an agreement would probably have spelled doom for all non-Madden football titles, most noticeably the acclaimed ESPN NFL games, developed by Sega-owned Visual Concepts. Good thing, then, that no such deal is going down. When contacted by GameSpot, representatives from both EA and Players Inc. said that not only was the Sports Business Journal story false, the publication had publicly retracted it. So breathe easy, ESPN fans. This rumor is bogus. Madden may soon be on Xbox Live, but it won't be the only NFL game in town for some time to come. Back to you, Tim.
Thanks, Tor. For more on the latest gaming headlines, check out news.gamespot.com. Hey, Jeff, Nice ringtone.
Sure, it's been a while since you've seen the show, but that's because we've all been firmly entrenched in E3 mode. Now joining me in the studio to help us all purge E3 from our systems is executive editor Greg Kasavin. Greg, in case there are a couple people out there who missed it, what is E3?
E3 is in its 10th year now. It's the Electronic Entertainment Expo. It's the biggest event in the world for games, and it's where every major publisher shows up to hawk their wares, show the stuff that they're coming out, and it's kind of a big horse and pony show. Everyone's showing off, trying to look like the biggest and best.
So you've been to all 10 of them now, as have I. How do you feel that 2004 stacked up to previous years?
It was a pretty good E3, I thought. There was, the overall level of quality of games just seems to keep going up. Everything at the show looked pretty solid for the most part. And, on the one hand, that created the interesting problem that on an individual per game basis, it was harder for games to stand out. Yeah. But stuff just looked good, and it was fun to be able to go around and play almost everything. I think publishers this year really tried hard to get their games in a playable state and let people get their hands onto them. So I took that to be a good sign personally.
Yeah, it seems like the unplayable stuff was really kind of taken up by the PSP display, and to a lesser extent the DS stuff. Right. It had all the new hardware and all that. Beyond the games, what are some of your lasting memories from this year's E3?
The different press conferences were pretty memorable. Nintendo showing off so-called mature Zelda for the first time, kind of going back to the old look for the Zelda series, which I'm personally not that thrilled with.
Yeah, me neither. It seems like kind of a cop-out in a way.
Yeah,
it's just like, it's like, well, people, even though Wind Waker was a huge success, it seems weird that they would go back and do that.
Wind Waker just had such a completely unique look to it. Now they're like, well, actually, here's old Link. Let's play it safe this time.
So now we can talk about some of the games. What do you think were some of E3's biggest surprises?
I don't know if it's a surprise so much, but Splinter Cell 3, which took our Game of the Show award, really impressed us because that game just sort of came out of nowhere. They're saying it's coming out this year, and it looks just phenomenal. And this is already a pretty well-established series, and they're definitely trying to take it to the next level. It has this very cool cooperative gameplay and so forth. Other stuff like maybe the games we saw last year, the big sequels like Halo 2 and Half-Life 2 and Metal Gear Solid 3, they all look cool.
Yeah.
We're excited about those games, but, we don't want to beat a dead horse so much, and it's like we'd rather just concentrate on the stuff we haven't seen before. And for these other big games, it's like, just come out already. Just finish the game, ship it, let me at it, and then we'll see how good they really are. But I just can't wait for those to come out.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Greg.
Thanks.
That's enough for the moment, but right now we're going to send it over to Rich Gallup real quick for an E3 edition of Now Playing, and then we'll come back with Greg to discuss more games and GameSpot's best of E3 2004.
Thanks, Jeff. All this E3 talk is giving me flashbacks. Did you know the GameSpot Live team put up more than 1,300 E3-related movies? It's true! If you've read GameSpot's Best of E3 2004 feature, then you know which movies made our top 10 for the show. There's trailers for the new Legend of Zelda, the Unreal Engine 3.0 demo, Devil May Cry 3. There's like 10 in all. Go figure. But what about the other 1,290 plus movies? Which of those are must-see? For starters, check out the Movies of E3 page and go to booth tours / press conferences / other video features. There you'll find the entire E3 experience with almost 20 booth tours, all of the big press conferences, and my favorite, the craziness that happened on stage at the actual GameSpot booth. There's demos of games like Jak 3 and Burnout 3, plus Seat of the Pants live action where Ryan McDonald and myself run all over the floor, gesticulating wildly, buying hot dogs, and hanging out with good friends like Sean Wayans. To find all those movies, go to GameSpot.com/GSLive and click on the big box that says The Movies of E3. All right, back to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Rich. Greg, let's do a quick rundown of some of GameSpot's Best of E3 2004. Let's start from the top. You said the game of the show was Splinter Cell 3. You talk about kind of the co-op gameplay, but as I understand it, Sam Fisher gets a lot more raw this time around.
One of the things that made me really excited for that game is it seems like for the past two Splinter Cell games, Ubisoft was really trying to get the T rating, and you can shoot people and stuff, but they just kind of drop dead, and it's all very kind of sanitized. But now it's Sam Fisher being a lot kind of nastier and holding people at knife point and kind of assassinating them very quietly but very brutally, and doing things that are just a lot more brutal, but things that you might expect for someone who's basically a government assassin to do. Why would this guy be playing it real straight when he's supposed to just get the job done by any means necessary? So it seems like that whole by any means necessary aspect is what's really coming out in Splinter Cell 3.
How about some of the platform awards? I mean, why don't we talk about Resident Evil 4 for a second? It seems like they're really going in a different direction with the game. I mean, there's no zombies, it's kind of more action-oriented. What's the big deal there?
Yeah, Resident Evil 4 is also one of the more impressive games of the show, and I think, like, along with Splinter Cell 3, it also represents, what we think of as like a really exciting sequel. They're not just playing it safe. They're going in new directions. It just looks really, really cool and has lots of like context-sensitive actions that you can do. And it seems like Capcom is kind of anxious about how people would receive it, but the game definitely retains all the Resident Evil creepiness, but just looks to be a lot more kind of exciting. So for people who've kind of given up on that series, I think this game might very well pull them back in.
Yeah, it seems like our PS2 game of the show has a lot of people excited. I've heard a lot of people talking about God of War, and that game's definitely kind of brutal in its own way.
Yeah, we seem to have this recurring theme going here about how our picks for game of the show all are kind of violent and visceral, and you know what? That's fine by me. I like games like that, and God of War just had this really insane, super intense-looking combat. It just looks really impressive in motion, kind of in the same way when people saw Prince of Persia for the first time. They were like, wow, that animation just looks way better than most other games. It had that effect on people.
And then over on the Xbox, we have Mech Assault 2. I know you and I spent some time towards the end of the show talking about how awesome the explosions and stuff in Mech Assault 2 are. That game really changes a lot of stuff. What do you think about it?
A few people in our community seem to think that we picked Mech Assault 2 just to be contrary, because isn't Halo 2 the obvious choice on the Xbox? And it's like, not really. I mean, they showed single flag, capture the flag for Halo 2, and that's stuff that we've all seen before. We're playing it right now in Unreal Tournament 2004. Meanwhile, Mech Assault 2 has like mech jacking, and you can be running around on foot and seeing like this huge mech stomping around, and sure enough, it could just stomp you dead. And basically, it looks like it's combining like the Battlefield 1942 style of gameplay with Mech Assault, and it's really incredible kind of production values. So yeah, I agree. That game just looked awesome.
They took everything up to just another level graphically, and gameplay-wise definitely. But it's like the way the buildings fall apart. It's like a few blasts, you'll see glass blasting out of the windows. The shell of the building kind of falls off, left with this kind of a smoldering foundation, and then that crumbles too. Just all the explosions and stuff really stood out, and yeah, I can't say enough about mech jacking. It's really satisfying.
It's like in a multiplayer shooter, you just want teamwork and cooperation, I suppose, but you also just want kind of out-and-out destruction, and Mech Assault 2 definitely delivered that better than most any other multiplayer shooter on display at the show.
And when you talk about out-and-out destruction, I mean, we can get into some of our other picks and some of the genres. For best driving, we picked Burnout 3. Utter chaos on wheels.
Yeah, Burnout 3 was quite possibly the easiest choice that we had to make. That's definitely kind of an inter-office favorite at the moment, just because that game, yeah, the designers of that game just seem to get it. It's like it's this game that's not about playing by the rules and kind of racing a good, clean race. It's just about doing all the things that you've ever thought about maybe considering doing while you were driving, but that you would never ever do because you would die.
They've really gone completely over the top with a lot of the particle effects. You see just like sparks flying off the cars when you're trading paint with other cars and stuff. And yeah, it's like, for as cool as the crashes looked in Burnout 2, just Burnout 3 just looks so much more insane.
And it's going to have the online multiplayer stuff, so when you're going to have like what is it, 6 people all crashing into traffic at the same time. That's going to be some interesting stuff.
Setting up multiplayer crash mode and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, there's so much to that game. It's probably going to be pretty great. All right, thanks a lot, Greg.
Thanks.
If you'd like to learn more about GameSpot's Best of E3 2004, run a GameSpot search for E3 2004 or click on all features on the left-hand side of any GameSpot page.
Nerds everywhere. I gotta tell you, it's nice to be back here in my ivory tower. My trip to E3 was almost too much nerd for even my future technology. This one time I was liar. Who said that? I did geek. It is I, QuizDroid 2000, the real attendee of E3. What are you doing here? When you backed out at the last moment, GameSpot called upon me to save the day. They also promised me a role on the show. Here is your quiz, geeks. Question number 1. What is the name of the miniature Mario toys in Mario vs. Donkey Kong? Shut it. Question number 2. Which of the following are not in the Deadly Shadows? The Order of the Hammer, the Pagans, the Keepers, the Stonecutters? No. Question number 3. Who would win in a River City ransom brawl, Alex or Ryan? Fear these eyes. Question number 4. Which Wayans brother is a huge GameSpot fan? Don't make me go Cyclops on you. Question number 5. Which game won GameSpot's Best of Show award for E3 2004? We seem to be at a standoff. I'll be in my trailer, throwing packages together for these 3 nerds. Wait, there's something you must know. I'm your brother. What? You are welcome.
The robot's got questions and you've got answers. Send them to triviarobot@gamespot.com along with a mailing address, and we'll pick some of you to win some great GameSpot gear left over from E3. Hey, you guys like t-shirts, right? Nothing says, I don't want to do laundry yet like a GameSpot t-shirt. That reminds me, I forgot to add the fabric softener. Ah well, show's over, folks. I got to split. So until next time, check out GameSpot for the latest news, reviews, previews, cheats, downloads, and movies from the dirty hamper of gaming. Until next time, I'm Jeff Gersman, and I'm sending this one out to every QA department across the land. You're the last line of defense between the public and the bugs that can ruin our favorite games. Keep fighting the good fight.